Hey everybody, how are you? Let's see here. Hey everyone, how are you guys? Let us check this stuff. Okay, it says we're live. Hi everyone, how are you? Okay, perfect. So Facebook just they didn't just, but I just sort of switched the platform that Facebook is using for lives, and it's still a little confusing. So let me double check that we are live. How are you all doing today? Okay, perfect. I see me. I see me. Okay, we are live. Beautiful. Hey everyone. How are you? Okay, so I have a limited amount of time and it's kind of convenient because that's what we're going to talk about today. So I wanted to hop on and I want to chat with you guys about the 5 tips that I use in my business and in my life in general to stay motivated and to stay productive. So we're all on lockdown. The world is all a little crazy. We're all working from home. Like me, I've got kids running around, doing their classes, doing their things. I've got a husband who's working from home. So we got all the things going on, and it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to lose motivation. Easy to kind of like fall off the wagon a little bit in business. If you've got all those distractions. If you don't, then you're probably more laser focused than anything. So I thought it would be helpful for me to share with you guys some of the things that I do in my business on a daily and a weekly basis to stay motivated, to stay focused, to stay productive. And I think these are things that, despite whatever stage you are in your business, whether you're starting out, whether you're further along, wherever you are in your business, these are things that have been so fundamentally important to me and game changing for me in terms of how I show up, how I get things done, the results that comes as a result of that. And so regardless of what stage in your business, I think you're going to find these pretty helpful. So if you're here, let me just pop over and open up a link on here to make sure that I can see. Perfect. Okay, so if you're here and you're joining me, say hi. Let me know that you're here. Let me know what you're up to right now and where you're joining me from. And I know there's a lot of new people in the group, so let me just take a quick minute and introduce myself. I am Safia Sitar, certified business coach and online marketing strategist, and I work with coaches, new and rising coaches. I help them start, grow, and scale their businesses. So, for all of those new people who are in the group, special welcome to you all. This is the first time you're joining me live. Say hi, let me know that it's your first live that you're catching me on. There's lots more to come, I promise. Okay, so let's just dive into the topic today because we're talking about productivity and we're talking about staying motivated. And productivity is like huge for me in my life, more so now, again, because of being on lockdown, having kids, all that good stuff at home. So let's make the most out of this time. I'm just going to dive straight in. If you have questions for me, leave it into the comments. I'd love to know, sort of like as you're listening or if you're watching the replay, if staying motivated is something that you're struggling with right now, if you're finding it difficult to be productive and be focused in your business right now, or even if outside of this time, if in general, that's something that you struggle with. So leave that in the comments for me and let me know. So let me dive in. Let me pull up my notes. Okay, so real quick, I just want to say these are the things that work for me. I think you'll find them helpful. I have tested these over the years, lots of trial and error. I'm not perfect by any means. Some weeks are better than some days are better than some for sure, but it's a general sort of like guideline of the things that I do, and I try to do them consistently. And I've noticed a dramatic difference in my productivity, dramatic difference in my level of my motivation and my energy, and of course, in the results that come from that. So these are things that work for me. I'm offering them to you. I'd love to know if you do things as well, if you do things that are working for you that you want to share. Have at it, because I love learning from other people and learning what other people are doing as well. We're all here to help and support each other. Okay, so let's dive in. So tip number one, the thing that I do is I set my intentions the night before. So I used to do this in the morning when I would get up and I would like do the whole thing and like try to set my intentions for the day. And while that's still valid and I still do that to a certain degree, I have found that setting my intentions the night before actually helps me to kickstart my day and be much more productive and laser focused when I actually start my day. So, what does that look like? That looks like me actually sitting down when I'm done my work day. I actually have a list and I write my list out. Hey, Sadia, thanks for joining. I write my list out the night before. So, based on what I've completed and what I know I have to do, I write my list out the night before or when I like sign off for the day of whatever I need to do the next day. So, I am so clear and focused on that when I come to work the next day. I don't have to sit there to try to figure that out or decide what needs to be done. I've already sort of made that decision. Now, are there times when I have to shift or add things or like, adjust? Absolutely. But I've found personally that setting my intentions the night before not just helps me to sort of like end the day and like have a sort of resolution and closure today, but it also helps me to start my day the next day much more focused and much more aligned and much more intentional about how I'm going to go about and what I need to be doing on that particular day. Let me just pop over here real quick because Facebook is giving me a notification. Okay, cool. So that's tip number one. Set your intentions the night before. And that could look like, I mean, it doesn't have to be this whole like, dramatic thing that you do. It's literally like, for me personally, it's my notebook that I have on my desk and I write it down every single night. Every single night, every single night. So that's something that I do. And in addition to that, I also like to sort of recap on all the wins that I've had for the day. This is more of like a mindset piece and and piece of like the motivational part of it. But I also recap all of the wins that I've had for the day, all the things that I've done and I've like really achieved. Because I think that as you go through the process of building your business, it's easy to sort of feel like you're not ever getting to the end of the list or you're not making a dent or you're not seeing the results fast enough. And I think we have to train our brains to look for the right evidence. And I've said that before, I'm going to say it again. We have to train our brains to look for the right evidence. So when you can actually write down and see on paper all the things that you've done, whether they're big wins or small wins, or whether you got a client or you put a post out there to get a client. Those are all wins, right? And you want to really be sure that you are training your brain to associate those things as progress, because that's how you're actually going to stay motivated. And that's how you're actually going to feel good as you journey through entrepreneurship or building your business, right? So setting the intentions and also just recapping all that went right in that day and all the things that you did and you completed that day. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is I have a morning routine that I try to follow. So I am the first one to say that it does not always happen according to plan. I am human. I've got 3 kids. My 4-year-old is still sleeping in my bed with me, and I am not sleeping comfortably. So my morning routine doesn't always look like waking up with meditation and yoga and all the good stuff, right? Nothing is wrong with that, but it doesn't always look like that. But I've created a morning routine that is aligned with my life and that works for me. And I try as best as possible to stay consistent and to just sort of do that consistently as possible. So for me personally, that involves waking up before my kids do, or before like my husband does, or sometimes he's an early riser. He's usually up before me, let's be honest. But definitely getting up before the kids do, because I find that as a mom, if anybody who's listening or watching the replay, if you're moms, you know the preciousness of having that alone time and that quiet time before the kids start stirring and you've got to like kick into mom mode. So for me, my morning routine involves getting up and waking up before my kids do, so I get some like white space and quiet time to myself. And that involves for me some level of prayer, either journaling or reflecting. Sometimes it involves working out, not as much as I would like to recently, but it involves like moving my body in some way. Or sometimes it's literally just sitting down with a cup of coffee and like watching TV by myself. Like that's glorious, right? So as long as I get a little bit of white space for myself before I have to jump into my day, I found that that's really helped me to stay like energized throughout the day. Before, it used to be like I wake up and then I'm just go, 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 go. You wake up and you've got kids and you got da 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 da. You just go, 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 go. And I used to like by the time 11 a.m. hit, I used to feel so drained and like, holy moly, like I'm just tired. And I found that getting up earlier and getting a head start and really just getting it, and even if it's 10 minutes just to myself, just to have that white space before I get into busyness has been a game changer for me. So that's the first part of my morning routine. The second thing I do is in that time frame or in some time frame before I like jump into work. Hey Astrid, how are you? Before I jump into work, I actually ask myself two very important questions. And these two questions, you guys, if you're here and you're watching, say hi, let me know that you're here and you're joining me. So, the two questions that I ask myself that are so key, and I share these questions with my clients, it's one, and you ask yourself this in the morning. You ask yourself this in the morning. You want to check in throughout the day, but hey, Gia, how are you? But definitely you want to ask yourself this in the morning before you get busy. Thanks for joining me, Gia. How are you? I hope you're staying well and I hope you're safe over there. Gia's in London. So the two questions that I ask myself is one, how do I want to feel today? And Astrid, hey Astrid, how are you? You're in London too. How I have a lot of Londoners in this group. Did you guys know that I was born in London? Side note, I was born in London, you know. So hi, my London girls. Okay, back to my two questions. So the first question I ask myself is how do I want to feel today? How do I want to feel today? I have found that has been such a pivotal question for me to ask myself because everything is driven from that point, right? It's not necessarily about what do I want to do today or what do I want to get done today or any of that stuff. It first starts with how do I want to feel today? Because everything, you guys, stems from that place. What if you want to feel like a badass businesswoman, then that's what needs to drive your decisions, right? If you want to feel like someone who's relaxed and calm and in control of your life and your home, then that's what's going to drive your decisions and the things that you do throughout the day. So for me, I check in with that daily. How do I want to feel today? You know, there were times where I used to feel so scattered and I used to feel so like there's so many things going on and so many things to do. And I found that it was really getting in my way of not just making progress in the things in the areas that I wanted to make in progress, but it just felt harder to accomplish my goals. So when I started checking in with how do I want to feel today? How do I want to feel? Like literally go there and ask yourself, how do you want to feel today? Then you get to show up and take decisions and take actions from that place, right? So that's the first thing. The second question is, what does my business need today? Now, I've talked about this question before, and it is a powerful, powerful, powerful question. I'm going to say it again. Ask yourself this: what does my business need today? When you ask that question and you answer that question, your tasks and your time looks completely different because you actually have focus. When you show up to work, you will not just be like, okay, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. No, you're going to be so focused and so intentional about the way you're spending your time and the things that you're doing in your business because you're answering a question that's directly related to the growth of your business. Let me just pop over here. Gia says, it's been a long time. Good to see you. Yes, great to see you too. Um, Doing great. I want to feel driven and focused. Beautiful. Yes, absolutely. I want to feel driven and focused. And that's the feeling that you want to connect with every single day, Gia. Because when you can connect with that feeling, all of your actions will stem from that place. And I invite you to literally write that down every single morning. Wake up and write down and make that decision on how you want to feel, and then start taking actions from that place, right? And then the second question, like I mentioned, is what does my business need today? So I talk about this before, and I'm going to share it here again. It's like sometimes business can feel like a running to-do list. Sometimes business can feel like I've got to write the email, I've got to do the live stream, I've got to write the sales copy, I've got to record the video, I've got to do this thing, I've got to meet the clients, I got to da 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 da, right? And it's so easy to like the whole day goes by and you either feel completely overwhelmed because you've got too much to do, or the whole day goes by and you're doing everything. And at the end of the day, you feel like, shit, I didn't get anything really productive done in my business, right? And that's because there's no focus and intention behind what you're doing. So when you can ask yourself that simple question, what does my business need today? And you could answer that question, it is a game changer. It is a game changer. So if you decide in the morning, today my business needs sales, then you know what needs to drive your actions. You know, okay, I need to be marketing, or I need to be like offering my services, or I need to be sending a sales email or writing a sales post, right? If you know, okay, my business needs more leads, okay, great. I need to be doing lead generating activities, right? If you know, okay, my business needs visibility, okay, I need to be getting out in front of my ideal client's eyes. Whatever your business needs, answer that question and take actions from that place. So that's been like a really important thing for me as I have managed to like really stay productive and really stay focused and intentional and motivated as I show up to work every single day. So that's like the second part of my morning routine. The third part is planning. So I do a little bit of minor planning. And remember, you guys, all of this takes place in no less than 30 minutes for me. 30 minutes is a good day. Like 30 minutes is when I like have the time. Normally I can get this done, all the things between the quiet time, asking of the questions, and the planning in like 15 minutes, and it's or less, right? Again, that's everybody will vary depending on your life and what you're doing and your style of like, spending your routine time. But for me, because I'm a busy mom, I got 3 kids, I got to go. I try to be consistent with these things, but it doesn't have to take like forever. And again, it doesn't have to be like this big, beautiful, illustrious, meditative, beautiful state of bliss. I wish, but it's not in my reality, at least. So the third thing is planning. So I do a quick brain dump every single morning, a quick brain dump. And again, this is all before I get really, really busy in my day. And the quick brain dump is like, I figure out what are the top 3 non-negotiables that I have to get done in my business and in my life on this day. I'm going to talk about non-negotiables in a little bit in one of the next steps, but I'm going to circle back to it. But for right now, just know I write that down real quick. What are the top 3 non-negotiables that I must get done? So is it related to an offer I'm selling? Is it related to, fixing my website? Like whatever the case may be, is it a non-negotiable? Now, non-negotiables are different than just regular tasks, right? Your non-negotiables are those things that are the barometer. It is like the must. It has to get done. Everything else is a bonus. When I get these top 3 non-negotiable things done, those are my priorities. And everything else after that is a bonus. It's icing on the cake. But those 3 non-negotiables, and this is where your decision making, and this is where your sort of like connecting with your business comes in, is really, really fine tuning and understanding what are those non-negotiables. And if those non-negotiables are actually the things that are moving your business forward, right? So I identify what my 3 non-negotiables are that I have to get done. And then I decide on what I need to do to make those happen. And I don't move on to the other things, or I rarely, I should say, move on to the other things until I check those non-negotiables off, because everything else, like I said, is a bonus. Okay, cool. Quick recap. So thing number one is set the intentions the night before. Thing number two is having the morning routine, which involves asking, quiet time before my house gets busy and my life gets busy, asking myself the two questions: how do I want to feel today? And what does my business need today? And then planning by writing down and brainstorming what are my three non-negotiables that I have to get done. Cool. Everybody good? Any questions so far? Okay. Hey, Jalissa, how are you? Nice to see you joining me live today. Okay. And I'm sorry if I missed you before. I'm just looking down now at the comments. You guys, tell me real quick in the comments, is staying motivated and focused something that you struggle with? Is it something that that, gosh, no matter how much you try, at the end of the day, you just feel like you're not getting the things that you need to get done? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to just kind of know where you guys are at in terms of that. Okay, cool. Thing number three, I time and I task block religiously, religiously. I have a timer app on my computer that when I sit down to work, that timer app goes on. I clock in and I clock out on every single task. And I used to just time block. I just used to okay, I'm going to work for, 30 minutes or an hour or whatever. And I used to just time block. But a couple of years ago, I learned about task blocking, and it changed everything about how I show up to work. So here's what I learned, and I'm going to share it with you guys. It's much more productive and efficient if you work in tasks, blocking out tasks versus blocking out your time. Because your brain, right, the left side and the right side of the brain, we know the right side is the creative side, the left side is the analytical and the very analytical black and white side, right? And when we sit down as entrepreneurs, especially online entrepreneurs, especially as coaches, especially as people who are content creators and, having to create content all the time and put ourselves out there and create our offers and do a lot of creation, we tap into that right side of our brain a lot, right? But we also have those left-sided brain activities to do, like our numbers, like sales, marketing type assets that we need to build in our business. And so I used to sit down and I used to just time block, and then I would jump to another task. And what happens with the brain is it takes you longer to move from the right side of a right-sided brain task to switching into a left-sided brain task or activity, right? So let's use a practical example. Let's say I have to, a real practical example is, let's say I have to look at my numbers and I have to look at my budgeting or my marketing expenses or how I'm paying out my employees or whatever the case may be. That's a left-sided brain thing, right? And if I sit down to do that and then I have to switch into writing copy or writing content or creating a post or something like that or a video, it takes my brain, and it takes all of our brains, because all of our brains are wired the same, to move. It takes longer to jump from the left to the right side of the brain. So all that simply means is that task blocking becomes a lot more powerful here, because when you can say, okay, in this task, in this time block, I'm going to focus on all those right side of the brain type activities. I'm going to write content for the week. So that's one thing I highly recommend. I batch my content every single week. I sit down and I write content in one, I don't do it more than once a week. I don't write my content unless I'm sporadically, inspired or whatever the case may be. But I tend to have a plan and a certain specific day of the week where I batch all of my content, where I know I'm writing emails and I'm doing any sort of right-sided brain type activities. That all happens in a certain time block. When I have to shift into the left side of the brain and the planning and the numbers and all that stuff, that's done on a separate day or in a separate time. And it's amazing how much more you get done when you task block versus time blocking, right? So I highly encourage you guys, if you haven't done that before, if you're not doing that, definitely try that out. Just really relieve that pressure on your brain to keep switching from side to side. And sit down, and when you sit down to work, have a plan on what you're doing in one particular day. Task all the similar type activities in one block of time and do those. Okay, let's see what Jalissa says. Jalissa says, I feel motivated to get things done, but I feel overwhelmed sometimes with feeling like there is so much to get done. Oh, girl, we know, right? But the tips you're offering are great. I need to make a list of my non-negotiables and focus on that before allowing myself to move on to less important things. I also feel like the idea of asking myself what my business needs and then focusing on that, like sales. Exactly. Dude, that is a game changer. It has changed so much for me in my business, just asking those two simple questions, because again, it allows you to be so much more focused, so much more intentional, so much more like strategic as well when you're showing up. Because if you know, for instance, I need sales, I need to generate sales in my business, your time and your energy is going towards sales, revenue generating activities versus things that are not going to produce income for you in your business. And at the end of the day, that's what drives results, right? That is what will drive your results. So ask yourself those two questions. They are powerful, and they're powerful ways to start your day and your weeks in general. Okay, cool. So time and task blocking. You guys still with me? Perfect. Okay. Now, the fourth tip I have for you is calendaring. My clients like resist this so hard when I share this with them. And when I first started doing, when my mentor actually first, recommended me do this, I resisted it so much because I'm like, calendaring everything? Oh my God, you're kidding me. Like, you don't want to see my calendar. I've got like kids activity here, like business activity here, client work here. It's like nuts. But I have learned that calendaring is the thing that will help you create more freedom. It is the thing that will help you create more sort of flexibility in your life when you actually structure your life and you structure your days, and leaving with the caveat that you're leaving enough white space in your calendar as well. So let me break that down for you, what that looks like for me. And then I'd love to hear what you guys, do as well. Or if you do anything like this, I'd love, love, love for you to share. So before I break that down, let me see what Gia is saying. So Gia says, all true. I'm a neurocoach, so I see what you're saying, and thus has been studied and proven to be true. Exactly. I do my content creation and copywriting in one day and chunk tasks according to the exactly, Gia, exactly. Oh, and thank you for summarizing my points for me. 3 is planning, calendaring, beautiful. If it's in the diary, it gets done. Exactly. So we're just about to talk about that. It's a key. And I also color code mine as well. Yes, I love to color code my calendar as well. So calendaring is it's something that a lot of people resist because it's like, it can feel very restricting. It can feel very confining. And listen, you guys, I'm not just talking about I'm going to calendar that in, or I'm going to make an appointment with myself, or I'm going to make sure that's a time block in my calendar. Yeah, I'm talking about that, but I'm talking about that on the next level. So here's what that looks like for me, okay? Every Sunday, I sit down with my notepad and I do a huge brain dump of all the things I need to get done in my business in the coming week. Now, I'm going to save this for another training, but I have another way of like categorizing my tasks because, there's a lot to do when you're running a business, right? So, I make a huge brain dump of all the things that I need to do, from client work and client, like fulfilling client responsibilities and client work, to, my lead generating activities that I need to do, to my sales activities, to my marketing, to my content creation. I even include in that list, hey, Karima, how are you? I even include in that list things that I need to do in my home and my personal life as well, because we exist, right? Like we have a life outside of our business, and it factors into how we show up for our business. So on that huge brain dump on my Sundays, it includes everything that needs to get done. If it's picking up the dry cleaning, if it's buying a card for my mother-in-law, it's on the list. Okay. And then what I do is I pull up my Google Calendar, and I have different like color, like like Astrid said, color code. So I have different calendars for personal, for client work, for marketing. I have different calendars so that my brain knows when I see a color, what's the task that I'm doing. So hi, Karima. So I schedule the non-negotiable tasks, including eating 100%. I schedule in naps. Okay. I schedule in naps because if I don't get them. And even when I schedule them in, I don't get them. Let's be real. I'm a mom of three with three kids at home, quarantined. I don't get naps, but I do schedule it in because it's white space, right? And we talked about white space. So I pull up my Google Calendar and everything that needs to get done from my big Sunday list gets put on that calendar. Every single task I have certain, routines and schedules of like certain days that I do certain things. So that's become easier as I do this over and over and over again. There's a duplicating process that becomes easier. But in essence, everything gets put on the calendar. And coming back to those non-negotiables, I don't just dump a whole bunch of crap on my calendar because that's overwhelming as well. Because when I pull up that calendar and there's nothing, there's no white space, that's overwhelming in and of itself. And then the pressure gets built when you're not getting it done, right? So I don't just dump a bunch of stuff on my calendar. I'm very, very intentional. That big list that I make, I look at those non-negotiables. Those non-negotiables get put on the calendar first and foremost, before anything else, the non-negotiables, both personal and business related non-negotiables, they get put on the calendar first, right? Once those are on the calendar and I look at it and I feel like it's realistic and I can like put, time is currency, right? Time is currency as entrepreneurs. So our time is our most precious resource. So when I can look at it and I can say, okay, I have time to do that other task or do that other thing, it gets put on the calendar. And you guys, this is one big thing that I have adopted that has not always been so easy for me, but I give myself a whole lot of permission to take breaks and to rest. I used to be so hard on myself and like, oh my God, I've got to get all these things done. And when I first started doing this, and I looked at my calendar and I'm like, crap, it's 4 o'clock. And the thing that I was supposed to do at 2 o'clock didn't get done. I used to be so hard on myself. And all that does is like, you don't progress that way, right? We know this. So I've learned and I have adopted and I teach my clients the power of permission, like just giving yourself permission to take breaks. Nothing is an emergency. Like it will get done. You want to be as disciplined as possible, obviously, to get the things done in the time that you said you will, because we know what happens when you don't and it gets overlapped into another time and like the list never ends, right? But it's so important to also give yourself that permission to take those breaks and to get rest because we're human, we need it. And when you can do that, you actually are able to perform even better and you're able to show up even more powerfully and you're able to actually drive results even more bigger, right? Bigger results. So if you're someone who struggles with like putting that pressure on yourself, I encourage you to just give yourself permission to take those breaks and to rest and to leave enough white space in your calendar for just nothing or naps or eating like Gia does, right? Like leave enough white space. We have been conditioned to just go, 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 go. We have been conditioned to that if you're not productive or if you're not doing, then you're not like being successful or you're not being like efficient in your time or whatever the case may be. I call bullshit, dude. I say, do your non-negotiables, get the things you need to get done, and leave enough white space so that you can breathe and you can just be. Because when you do that, you are your best, most powerful self. And when you're your best, most powerful self, your business performs at its best, right? Hands down. Okay, cool. So that's thing number 4. Gia, you want to summarize for me again? That's thing number 4. Okay, thing number 5. And this is the final thing that I do. And it is I prioritize connection, you guys. I prioritize connection to help me stay motivated. And for me, that is a huge value. Like you guys know that. You guys who followed me, you know that you know what a big value connection is to me. So for you, it could be different. For you, it could be, something else. But for me, I prioritize connections daily, daily, daily in my business and in my life. And it starts with me first. It starts with involves me feeling connected and being connected to me first, right? So that could look like just putting on good music, like putting on good music that makes me feel good. Like every single day when I'm done my work and I go into the kitchen to cook, I'm cooking with music because that makes me feel so good. And some days it's bluesy, jazzy, depending on the weather. Today it's rainy, it's probably going to be bluesy, jazzy. Some days it's reggae. Some days it's like, whatever I'm feeling. But music lights my soul on fire. It could be something else for you. So I always do things that like make me feel good and feel connected back to myself. Sometimes it's putting on red lipstick. I do it. I'm home with these three kids. I'm home, I'm working, we're locked down, and I'm in sweatpants most of the times. Some days you just do your hair and put lipstick on and you feel good, right? You've just got to do the things to reconnect yourself back with you. I eat foods that give my body energy. I go out for walks. I try to do things that I know lights me up and makes me feel good because it's easy to get lost in all of this, right? So, reconnect with yourself first. And sometimes that's the hard part because depending on your life and depending on your responsibilities, you might have a million different things going on and you forget to prioritize that. But you've got to make that a priority, whether that's, again, doing meditation in the morning or journaling or yoga or taking a walk or whatever your thing is. Prioritize that. Gia says she has red lipstick on today. Yay, let's see it. Hey, Karima, fully agreed. Cool, cool. Are you wearing red lipstick too, Karima? I'd love to see. So that's what I do. And then connection with my family and the people that are most important to me. I do not go a day without connecting with my mom or, my dad or my siblings. And of course, I've got my kids, so I'm constantly with them. But I tap into the things that are most important to me on a daily basis and I make that a priority because it's so easy to lose ourselves in all of that. And those are the things that keep me motivated, that keeps me, it's like they say, you've got to hydrate your body, you got to hydrate your soul too, right? And so that comes through really doing the things that are of high value and of high importance to you and making those a priority. So I make sure I connect with my family, check in with them, especially now we're living in such a crazy time. I've already lost family members and, people that I know due to COVID. And I just can't imagine, going through that if it was one of my family members. So I make sure that priority connection is a high priority on my list. So you need to figure out what that is for you and do that every day, prioritize that. So if you don't know what that is, just think about that and do that. Do that, do that, do that. Make that a priority to help you stay motivated, to help you stay on track, to help you connect back with yourself and the things that are important to you so that you can show up for your business. Because anything you do for you do for your business, right? And I say that over and over again. Anything you do for you do for your business. You are the business owner. You're the one in the driver's seat, right? And you're in control of if the business goes up or down. And so if you're not fueling you, your business is not going to run, right? So let's see what my mom used to wear a nice necklace or jewelry at home. I love that. It's just something to feel pretty, right? Astrid, I have just done a live and I'm in red. Yay, good. Gia, me too. Okay, cool. So you guys are digging what I'm saying. These are simple little hacks. It's nothing likely you've heard, most of you have heard some of these things before, but these are just the things that I apply to me. Again, I'm just going to recap them, run them through real quick. 1, set intentions the night before. 2, have a morning routine that involves asking those questions. How do I want to feel today? And what does my business need today? And then planning out what are the top 3 non-negotiables that you have to get done in that day, and then taking action and making decisions from that place. 3, time and task blocking. 4, calendar everything in the week before, like a week ahead of time is ideal. But make sure you leave enough white space and give yourself permission to take breaks and rest. And 5, prioritize connection. That's for me, or something that's of a high value for you, and only you will know what that is. So, you guys, that's my 5 tips. Those are the 5 things that I do to stay motivated and to stay focused and to stay productive in my business. Again, we're living in a crazy time right now. We don't know how long things are going to be like this. I know things are flattening and things are looking up, which I'm grateful for. But it's easy to sort of like lose sight of some of these things if you're home and in your business, and you can't do the things like you normally do. Again, if you have kids at home like I do, it's easy to like lose track of that. So I hope these tips were helpful for you guys. If you have any that you want to share with us, go ahead and share that in. I love, love, love to hear from all of my people and hear all the different things that you guys do as well, in case I'm missing one. I'm always open to hacks, right? And keep wearing that red lipstick because it's powerful. And if you guys have any questions as you watch this, or if you're watching the replay, leave me a comment, let me know. And do feel free to share your tips, your tricks, your hacks, things that you're doing that work for you, things that you'd want to offer us. We're all here to learn from each other and grow from each other. So thank you for watching. Stay safe, be well, wash your hands, wear your masks, and we'll talk soon. Bye.